because I grow my facial hair so quickly. By the time we get to like even 5 o'clock that day,
it truly is a 5 o'clock shadow.
It would hurt. So like if we kiss or something, it would hurt. So she actually, if I don't have like a goatee
you need to
or
have
a
a little
beard
bit of
or
stubble.
whatever, then because right now it's pretty soft.
When's the last time you shaved everything,
Brett?
Your wedding? Did you shave it all for the wedding?
Clean shave for the wedding. Probably I probably kept that for a little bit. I remember seeing pictures of myself with glasses and clean shaved after we got married. So yeah,
the funniest was when we all did the mustaches for
for
our foursome.
Do you ever run across those photos in your photo library randomly?
Oh yeah. I save it to my background.
Well, the girls will always ask to look through my pictures whenever we're just hanging out waiting on something. So we'll be scrolling and all of a sudden it's like, what's that? And it's Logan's mustache.
Yeah, dude. When it comes to like the memes we all send each other and stuff like that, I have to go through and delete stuff off of my phone.
Yeah.
Willow, today we were at Rose's softball practice and she was like, can I look through your pictures on your phone? I'm like, Daddy's phone's for like work. Like there's stuff on there you can mess up. She's like, I just want to look at the pictures. I'm like, it's for work.
The pictures are for work.
I'm not like your mom. I don't just take pictures of you all day.
Yes,
exactly. Welcome to The Cover, where 3 Hoosier friends judge books by their covers and movies by their trailers.
That's right. I'm Brett, here with my fellow Indiana natives, Remington and Marcus, ready to dive into the stories that keep us up all night and occasionally put us to sleep.
Whether you're a bookworm, movie buff, or just here for the witty banter, we've got you covered.
Each week, we'll dissect a different book or movie, sharing fun facts, hot takes, and moments that make Marcus cry. Spoiler alert, we're not experts, but we're definitely opinionated.
From literary masterpieces to blockbuster flops, nothing is safe from our snarky reviews and wild tangents. Who knew Hoosiers could be this entertaining?
So grab your popcorn and reading glasses because we're about to embark on a hilarious journey through the pages and screens that shape our lives. Or at least our weekends.
You're listening to The Cover. Let's get the show on the road before one of our kids wakes up.
Have you ever had to, like, you guys have been, I don't know, you're kissing, whatever, and then it's like, okay, if you don't go shave because it's just the 5 o'clock shadow.
That's what he started.
Well,
with.
you know, honestly, when's the last time the last time I was clean shaven, I think was my wedding.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That white tuxedo.
The closest. That was a funny story too because we went, or you weren't.
Wasn't
with me,
it like
Tim,
way too big for you?
It was like 3 sizes too big because you're renting these.
You
tuxes.
didn't let it bother you at all, though.
What was I gonna?
Marcus
It was
sang
amazing.
at his own wedding.
That's
How
true.
do you do that?
Well, you kind of sang at your own wedding.
No, that's way different.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ability to stay composed.
Oh, God.
It was difficult. It was really difficult because and this is gonna sound crazy
For those wondering, I did not sing at my own wedding.
You did. You just didn't. We didn't hear you.
Oh,
people would have. Yeah, that would have been bad. No, I literally I heard this song when I was in high school, and I decided that I was going to sing it to my wife on our wedding, and I literally intentionally made sure that Jessica never heard the song.
Oh, that's cool.
So she had never heard that song.
But she knew you were
going
to sing.
No, she didn't know I was going to sing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
She'd never heard the song before. And we used that as the song that we danced to. And she was really freaking out about that because she likes music significantly more than I do and knows a lot more music than I do.
but you were like, I've got it.
And I said, I've got it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And she was like, okay, but if this sucks, you know. And then, of course, I sing it to her, and she gets to hear the story that I've been essentially saving this song for her.
That's cool.
And then we get to dance to it, so it's pretty neat.
That's really cool.
What's the name of the song?
Waltz for Jennifer, but we'll call it a Waltz for Jessica.
With a K.
I was a DJ. I had to be on it. 'Cause I
FFH,
was
you remember
Oh, you and
FFH
Ta-
back
you
in
and
the
Taylor.
day?
DJ Remington.
Were you and Taylor co-DJs? Or was
Yeah.
Taylor just your,
That's
Oh,
right.
I was fun hanging out with Taylor.
This is what you call a wedding reception on a budget.
Yeah, that's right. I had a MacBook and a speaker.
It worked.
The speaker we used for division
I think
meetings.
it was Nadine's speaker
Yeah.
for the division meetings.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm surprised we didn't. We would
Dude,
have
it
probably
didn't
had the
matter.
big. We would have probably had the big megaphone if
Dude,
Jesse
you know
Purvis
what
hadn't
you
lost
did-
it.
Oh gosh. You know what that just made me remember? Do you remember when we did the skits and we were part of this our skits at Fall Classic? We did the Evasich wedding. And part of the skit, we did a push countdown on wedding presents. Do you remember this?
I do remember
Oh,
this.
man.
So funny.
A toaster. Okay, all right, cool. I don't remember. Oh, that was so great.
Dude, talk about
Flatware set.
talk about polar opposite weddings. By the way,
Yeah.
Mine, and then the Evasich.
The Evasich
Oh
is
my
one.
goodness.
Super
she
Catholic.
had 3 dresses.
17 bridesmaids, 3 different dresses.
I will never forget the moment the room stopped and she came out of the room wherever it was before the stairs, and it was just like, oh,
Another dress.
then this is another one.
Dude,
This is good.
we knew that there would only be like a third of the people there interested in drinking, and I was like, well, I'm not paying for the extra security and drinks and everything for a third of the people to drink.
That's fine. All your Evansville friends just drink
In the
outside.
parking
in the
lot.
parking
I
lot.
know. That's what I found out later.
When you get married young, that's like what happens.
Yeah.
Is everyone just shows up
Yeah.
already drinking.
Well, now you know what's new. We're on the Cover Podcast. Welcome. I'm your host, Brett Wiggins. As always, to my left is
The groom.
the groom, Marcus Mingus, the one who waltzed Jessica. Sitting to my right is Sir
Remington Ramsey.
Ram. What are we covering on this Holy Week, Easter?
Garden of Gethsemane, Jerusalem, circa 33 AD. Amid unresolved turmoil, Roman soldiers captured Jesus of Nazareth, a supposedly seditious local, after his duplicitous disciple Judas Iscariot's betrayal.
Dude, shout out whoever wrote this one. This is great.
And
It probably
accused...
said duplicitous, but
It does say duplicitous.
I don't
literally
know
have not read
I don't
this
know what
yet.
the fake word or the real word means, so we're good.
I'm reading this to Brett, Marcus. And accused of blasphemy by the Pharisees, the Nazarene is turned over to the high priest and an angry mob. After all, the doubtful Roman governor Pontius Pilate, got that one right, had already washed his hands of Jesus' freedom. As a result, sentenced to death by crucifixion, the Son of God must carry his cross to Golgotha. During his final 12 hours on earth, Jesus Christ endured extreme suffering and torture and reparation for our sins, but he rose from the dead on the 3rd day. This movie is The Passion of Christ, 2004, R rating, and there's more to that, 2 hours, 7 minutes. Jim
Lots of blood
Caviezel,
squirts.
Monica Bellucci, and director Mel Gibson.
Shout out Mel. Didn't get to see him with his long hair, but
So this was NC-17 originally when it was filmed. It was so gruesome. They had to cut out a ton of gruesome scenes in order to just
lower
make
it to R?
To lower it to R, yeah.
so 2 words. How do you say the G word again?
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane.
Which is important because I think you told me that you heard a message saying that the Passion of Christ is like someone said it was cute
it's
compared to what actually
correct.
happened.
What actually happened? Like, there's somebody basically giving commentary to how horrible, like, Jesus' treatment during the lashings and the beating actually was, that like this did a good job trying to get there, but did not even scratch the surface on what it really would have.
Which is crazy. I mean, the part where he gets the cat of nine tails stuck and then
just
rips it
rips.
out is the part where it's just like, I
I'm
don't know
sure
if I
that
can
was
take this.
maybe there were more of those moments with the flesh coming
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
out that they made
very
them.
realistic from that perspective.
I think
from
so.
what I've heard of the Cat and Nine Tails.
Yeah, I'll have to find this guy's commentary, but
Just
he was
ripping flesh off the bone, basically.
he was definitely, I don't know if he had an agenda or if he just wanted to create.
Really wanted to like nail it,
Yes.
like bring it home, like what he actually went through.
When you were reading, it's Pontius Pilate, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't your brain every time you see it want to say Pontius? And I'm sure it was hard for you when you're reading. And
I think
focusing.
I've
I like
heard
that
it.
whenever I correct Rem while he's reading it, afterwards he starts going slower because he's like, I got to get these words right.
What do we know?
Reading is hard.
What do we know going into it? you
Can we
two-
take one quick step back
Yeah.
and just talk about why we're covering this
Yeah.
this week?
Yeah.
Right? It is Holy Week.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's Monday. We just experienced Palm Sunday, and we're going to release this in 2 days on Wednesday for people to be thinking about. But, all three of us are Christians. This is the most important event is the death of Christ, but then the resurrection of Christ in human history, in our lives especially. Yep. And we want to make sure that even though many of our episodes are very lighthearted and fun, that we talk about it.
Yeah, and this is the perfect week to do it. So this movie would cover what day of the week does Judas turn him over to the Pharisees? Would that be Monday, Tuesday, Monday?
No, it'd be Friday.
It'd be Friday. It'd be the same.
So that
day
was a
that he was
24-hour
crucified.
night to Friday morning. Yeah.
So really leads into it. One of my favorite things to do during Holy Week is I try to read what happened that day to Jesus. So I'll Google what happened Monday of Holy Week and what verses are with it. Today, the day that we're recording Monday, is when he went in and flipped over all the tables.
Yeah.
Which we just watched The Chosen. They do I thought a really good job of
Oh,
showing.
no spoilers.
Just how
I have not
no
seen it.
spoilers.
I have not seen it.
They do a really good job of I think we all think of lighthearted, kind, sweet Jesus, and they do a really good job of, in the Bible it literally says like he's angry.
Burns
He's
with anger.
upset. Oh dude, it's
So we're going to give a little spoiler for The Chosen because it is really neat how when he's watching it the night before.
by the way, you can get upset.
He gets like blind with anger, and then he goes and makes the whip, and he is going after.
By the
people.
way, I don't know if this is scriptural. And there's some
The whip itself?
There's some there's some creative liberties taken by Dallas Jenkins, and they've admitted to that. But with he makes it out of the donkey
out of that bridle.
that his dad had given
that's
him.
interesting.
That's
because
not
they made a huge deal about that in the original.
Right.
That's not.
That's
no,
not-
that's not in
that's
the
not
Bible.
scriptural.
That's
Yeah.
not. But what they're.
But the concept is because
Yes.
that's very Jewish tradition.
that would have been
that would
historical.
have happened.
There's some
Yeah.
things that are historical from
Yeah.
that tradition that aren't in the Bible, but they
Right.
know are
it's
historical.
one of the devices that Jenkins uses
Yes.
to establish Jesus's
yes.
kingship.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is fun about this show, we are going to cover this and that is why, but we're also going to cover like the movie. It's not
Yep.
just like the story.
The
We're
movie
gonna-
itself.
We're going to talk
yes,
'cause that's-
exactly.
We've
Yep.
It's not the first time we've covered real historical events and then the movie's depiction because there is, because you've already mentioned The Chosen, there is multiple depictions.
Yes.
The passion, because your next question, and by the way, I got some feedback on like how we do the show. We take advantage of the fact that we have some long-term listeners and they know we ask 9 questions, but
Oh, that'd be
it
good
might
to-
make sense
Yeah.
to do that in our intro, saying like we go through 9 questions. We don't have to say what they all are, but
Yep.
the next question we're asking is, what did you know going into it?
What'd you
right?
know going into it? Which you talked about spoilers. What's on most movies? What would you say is the length of time appropriate to now say, hey, you've had X amount of time to watch it. This is not my fault anymore if I spoil it for you. What is that number?
Well, for you, it's like infinite because you haven't seen any movies.
I can't get upset about that.
Personally, it's my relationship with that person and what I want them to experience. So if you remember when we watched Parasite, I told Marcus nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to read anything because I genuinely wanted him to be excited.
If you're listening,
You also
to
got mad at me for watching Barbie ahead
and
of
I
time.
did get mad at you because you weren't supposed to do that.
if
yet.
you're listening to a podcast where you know they talk about a movie.
Oh, you're going into it knowing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you
Spoiler
say
alert.
spoiler
At
alert,
this point, if you
Jesus
listen to the
died.
cover
When you-
podcast, we spoil everything.
yeah. So this is 2,000 years old.
You are hanging out with us talking about the movie.
Yeah, you should have watched it already.
This is your fault.
Laughing at Brett getting everything wrong.
Yes.
Screaming at him in your car while you're driving.
It's also acceptable. Hopefully, it doesn't happen too often in this episode. We'll see.
That you get things
For,
wrong.
by the way, you said passion in the intro. You said passion of Christ.
Yeah.
Is it passion of the Christ?
Passion of the Christ.
Okay. Passion of the
All right. I just want
Christ.
to make sure. I didn't know if I was adding in a the there
No,
for
it's
no
the
reason.
passion of
There's
the
like
Christ.
a production that's called
It is
Passion, right?
extremely Catholic. Mel Gibson.
Oh, this is a very Catholic.
Mel Gibson
Yeah.
put so much Catholic tradition imagery in the movie, and it won a ton of awards and was banned in certain countries, and we'll get into the fun facts. But yeah,
I can't wait. I was trying to get him out of REM this weekend at the retreat, and he said
wait.
no, he wouldn't let me. So I guess when I first heard about it, was not a Christian, so I completely ignored it. This was 2000 and what's the year that this came out? 2004, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is PCB, pre-Christian Brett, and before the first time I watched it, actually, the first time I watched it was actually only like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I knew it was raw. I knew it was real, quote unquote. I knew it depicted, at least my understanding was, it depicted the crucifixion of Jesus closer to what actually happened than any other production up until that point. I knew Mel Gibson did it. My region manager, Jeff Bry, watched it every single Easter. And that's actually what got me over the hump to be like, all right, I'm gonna watch this thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was like 2 years ago. I think it was only my third or fourth time watching it.
I watched it early, and my dad took me. 2004, I would have been a freshman in college or high school, and I went with him.
Yeah.
Fun fact about me, not about the movie, but I felt, this is pretty deep, pretty early, but it was known for, like, you go into the movie if you watch it on day 2 or 3 of it coming out, because it was epic. Like in terms of numbers, 400 million, recovered all of its money. One of the highest grossing religious film of all time, the highest grossing foreign speaking film of all time, like just broke all the records. But it went around in Christian circles, you have to see The Passion. And so
they made like Bibles. I mean, it was actually a big marketing thing.
Yeah,
too.
it was, but it was good. So like all these Christians are packing the like church. It was one of those where churches bought tickets out and gave them away. And they talked about, the big thing I remember as a freshman was everyone leaves crying, and everyone cries throughout the whole movie. And I just remember feeling really guilty that I didn't cry. I watched the whole thing. Maybe it was just because I was 16 and I was like, this really sucks.
Do you
and I
feel like
love
being...
Jesus, but I'm trying to cry. Like I'm thinking about
that's the worst
my
feeling,
pet that
dude.
died and stuff like that. Is trying.
That's the worst feeling.
This is a real thing. This is what
because you're supposed to cry.
But
I was like, am I not doing this right?
So you grew up a PK, for those of you that don't know, pastor's kid. Do you feel like you had a great understanding of how gruesome and horrible it was already? So you may have been less...
I mean, at this point in my life, my favorite movies are war movies, and so the gruesomeness didn't bother me. The unfairness bothered me, but not to the point of tears. And I don't know that it was until I had kids where I understood what's actually happening in that scene. Like if someone would have told me, take the person you love the most, which at the time would have been like my parents, or, I didn't have the kind of love for a person like I do when I
definitely not your sister
got married. It was probably myself.
Yourself.
Myself. But like if you think about picturing your kid in that scenario.
Yeah, I did.
On the cross.
What's funny,
Jesus says, no, don't do that. I'll take their place, even though I have nothing to do with that kid's sins. That's when it was.
That was actually the hardest part for me, was watching Mary have to watch the whole thing. That, and as a parent, I just, that was rough. And here's like, The Chosen, because I've followed that story for so long, and I feel like when I currently think of like, okay, who's the depiction of Jesus right now? It's The Chosen's. Like, I feel like I have like that connection to that relationship with that character. So if like when that episode comes out, I can promise you I will emotionally be affected way more than this movie personally.
Interesting. So this, you guys didn't cry when you watched this? I literally do every time, but
I did this time, but it wasn't boo-hoo. Yeah. I've boo-hooed in movies before.
I've boohooed in movies before too. I mean, it wasn't like this.
Yeah.
And like this isn't like,
this is a single tear down.
But like I was the other night.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought you weren't even getting started.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So break this down for a second. So this was a God thing that we had to delay the shooting of this, which ultimately I think was a God thing because we experienced the retreat. So our men's group for 5 years running now. We've been in the league for 15 years, but the last 5 we decided to become better men. So we started this men's retreat tradition, and it is phenomenal.
Mostly because I think we realized our wives were not going to put up with it anymore unless we made
became
that commitment.
better,
Yes. So we're like,
there's only so much you can just trash talk in a text thread, and that be your life.
we need to have something good to show for this.
Let's
So anyway, we do
So the
it.
first step was we went out and left $1,000 tip on a Christmas Eve night or something like that, and it felt so good. We're like, we need to do more of this, and so it evolved into what is now our retreat. Well, we just had this last week, and on the last night we had
Logan has been
lightning
begging
a lightning round
That took
of love.
3.5
It's called
hours.
a lightning round.
Lightning
It's
round
supposed
of
to be
love.
like 20 minutes. There's 12 of us guys, and we go around and we talk about, and we say Brett, and every guy goes around and says what we love about Brett for 20 seconds at a time. It's supposed to be 20 minutes. I kid you not. I believe it was 4.5 hours.
It took a long time.
It was
and it
4.5
was
hours.
wonderful.
It was
I
great.
think it was 5:30 to 10.
And
Yeah.
I don't have any tears left for the rest of the month.
Dude. Yeah.
Like
Chris Gibson
brutal.
might never cry again.
That was the hard part for me, was like, you guys are saying stuff to me and I'm watching Chris on the corner of my eye just dying.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you need to stop.
Get it together, man. Well, what was cool
People are
is
saying nice things about me. I'm trying to listen.
well, I said it. I might get emotional on this. It was interesting to me that we all got emotional when we were talking about how great our friends were to each other.
I know.
We showed up when it mattered. But what I realized halfway through the drill is the ones that where everyone was getting emotional for that person was when we were talking about things that were completely Christ-like in that person towards their friends. And it just broke us all down. And it's just like 36 going on 37-year-old Remington has never felt this connection with the Lord and with his brotherhood, and it's just special.
I think we all say how lucky we are to have that group, but I don't think I ever fully grasped how lucky we are more than in that moment.
Oh,
that
really?
exercise.
When we were sitting around there and each guy we were talking about the strengths and the things that we see in them and the things that we love about them and the way that they make us better. And I had a picture, honestly, not that we were this, but like I had a picture of Jesus and his 12 disciples. You know, there were 13 of us. And the brotherhood that they must have had.
Oh no, Kyle left early.
I knew you were going to say it. We had one leave early.
Oh no.
And clearly Marcus is going to be Jesus in this scenario.
No. That's why I said I'm not comparing. But what I'm
Well,
comparing
Kyle's
is
glad.
I digress.
what I'm comparing is that the brotherhood that these guys must have felt doing this ministry together, and you know, I felt like this last weekend we got a glimpse of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch this movie last night after going to the retreat, but I think if I would have, I might have cried more. And part of it is because like your heart, and the reason that The Chosen's gonna get us all is because our heart's gonna break for Peter,
Yes.
and for John,
Yeah, and that's what
and for Matthew,
and to bring it back
because
to cinema,
that's going to be their stories.
This is one thing that Mel Gibson did not focus on, and that's okay. This is his art form. It was totally based on Jesus with a little bit of his mom and very little disciples. The Chosen is literally about the disciples, even more so than the
Correct.
ministry of
Yes,
Jesus.
the
It's
followers.
the followers and their following of Jesus, and so. This was more so the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and as much as they could get in leading up to
it was the Jews' relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
Right, and I love how they do give you flashes of Jesus' life, whether it's like
They give you
the
short ones.
triumphal entrance or when they show him finishing that table up. That was actually kind of corny, where he was like, oh, they're gonna sit in chairs or whatever. It's like, come on, no. There's no way that conversation just happened.
That's
But
I thought he did a good job of knowing, hey, I've got X amount of time. This is a movie. And he did recover a couple big steps in one sentence from certain characters in the beginning
Yeah.
that allowed him to start it so quickly. But you're right, Rem. I don't have a relationship with this actor playing any of these people because it's a movie and it's going to be
I
tough.
think where it's powerful though is if you've got a relationship. Maybe it's not. I've never watched this not as a Christian. So what did I know going into it? Like, I was a Christian. I was broken from the first time I watched it because, like,
You remember how old you were?
17, 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 2004? 2004?
Yeah.
17, probably. So, it just, all I could think about was like especially when he's getting beaten and then ridiculed and just over and over and over, all I could think about was like, that's my sin.
Mm-hmm. I did this.
That did that to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Roman soldiers.
And
it's
he's
not,
saying, Father, forgive them. That
gets me even talking about
the
it.
The three are on the cross, the soldiers walking away, and I don't think this is scriptural, but the thief on the left, and maybe it is. The thief on the left is the one that says, Jesus, forgive me. And he says, today you'll be with me in paradise.
Mm-hmm.
As the soldier's walking away, we need to look this up, but he's basically saying, did you hear what he said? He's asking forgiveness for you. Like he's talking to the Roman soldier.
The people.
Yeah.
The Roman soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, so they do a really
So
good
I'm
job of
wondering
making you feel
though.
that.
So I think I'm right here just because we had somebody who watched. You never watched this when you weren't a Christian.
Correct.
I think if you just watched this when you weren't a Christian, I don't think that this movie would move you to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Because you have to know the why behind
Sure.
it. And this doesn't really give you the why.
No.
It doesn't. It tells you the story of the crucifixion and ultimately the resurrection. But if you're just viewing it as a myth or a cool story or whatever, I don't know that it really does it for you.
It is hard not to compare it to The Chosen, which is not a fair comparison because it is
It's very different.
mini series versus a movie.
A full
but,
TV series.
But we're recording this at the time where The Chosen is like right about to come out with their own depiction of it. It is fascinating.
Right.
It's a
I don't know.
fascinating-
Do you think they get to?
I don't know
this
if they
in
do
this
or
season?
not.
I don't think.
I think it'll be next season.
I think it's going to be a cliffhanger.
Every single season, I've been like, I can't believe how long they spent on that period of time in the Bible, but I'm so glad that they are.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched the second couple of the second? So we watched the first two together, Brett. Have you watched
No.
the next three?
No, which are only in theaters right now, right?
Correct.
stop
it
talking
all
about
comes
it. I
out. It
haven't
all
seen
comes
it.
out on either Friday or Saturday on Amazon Prime, and you can binge the whole
Oh,
thing.
sweet. And I definitely will. Lots of popcorn. You guys still putting things in your popcorn?
By the way, that's
Oh, yeah.
fine.
You said,
let's
oh,
be-
yeah, but I asked your wife, and
Just-
she's like, you don't put things in your popcorn.
Just to be specific for new listeners,
every
we're
time.
talking about candy that goes in our popcorn, and we like to put Raisinets
You
in
put
it.
things in your popcorn. That reminds me of the Justin Timberlake song.
Oh gosh!
From SNL.
So
That would make this episode.
you know, I was going for like that reference without referencing it, and then
yeah,
he
Marcus has no filter.
No, it doesn't. No, he doesn't even realize he didn't know he needed a filter until right now.
I do think it's interesting. We've
I think
done
it's great.
two Jim Caviezel.
If you know, you know.
Two
Resurrections.
Jim Caviezel movies and Resurrections, and haven't done a single Matt Damon movie.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Or Mark Wahlberg.
Have we done
Neither
Mark
one of them.
Wahlberg?
No.
I'm more confused why we haven't done a Matt
remind
Damon
the-
movie.
I know, but they're the same. That was the
I
joke.
get it.
Remind the listeners which other Jim Caviezel movie that we did.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh yeah,
He's
you
the
know
mini-
I couldn't recognize him. He's
Oh,
like
is
10
that
years
where
older.
You,
Yeah,
were you setting me up there? Okay.
I was actually going to ask you, you know what's hilarious is that when this isn't in the movie, but it'd be awesome if it was and we could have the conversation, is how like nobody recognizes him when he first comes out of the grave. He
Yeah.
has to reveal himself
Yeah.
to them. And that's
of Monte
exactly
Cristo.
what happens in the Count of Monte
It's,
Cristo.
so
Look at these kids, by the way.
we're
Look how
screening it-
freaky these kids are.
They
We're
are very
messing
freaky.
with Judas.
Okay.
This part really freaked Quinn out. for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sure- this
wow, Quinn
Quinn
watched
watched
this.
Yeah, I watched it with Quinn.
is pretty brutal.
That's
Guys, the Bible's brutal, and we should be teaching the Bible to our
It
kids.
is, but there's images you
I-
don't want to get stuck in your head,
It's-
like that one right there. Look at this kid.
so well that, but also the whole. Well, we'll get into it.
Whoa.
Well, they're demons. They're not little kids. They're little demons because because they all disappear once he gets out there.
Right.
This is when the demons. This is when the demons are essentially harassing Judas.
Yeah.
Do they talk much about this, or is it
In the Bible?
Of
No, I mean,
Judas being?
It's mentioned.
Well, yeah, that he goes and hangs himself.
He goes and hangs himself, but it doesn't talk about him being not demon possessed, but being chased down by demons or being messed with by an evil spirit or anything. There's nothing. Yeah, I don't think so.
You can look it up.
I
I do not believe so.
Sounds like a producer Nate job. Rem, anything else that you want to mention that you knew going into it besides that Dad took you? Didn't.
I don't think it
Oh my gosh, I
registered.
still haven't done my words. I had them ready.
The Wi-Fi is so slow.
So
I thought you were rich, Rem. You can't even get fast Wi-Fi down here.
what are you talking about? So the question is, what did I know?
Yeah,
going into
it.
I knew the story. I was wondering how deep they would go into the before, and now that I've seen the relationship with people like Peter depicted in The Chosen, I wish they would have, because specifically John. I think John is the one in the movie that's following him around. Is that what you gathered? John,
Yes.
Mary Magdalene,
John, his brother.
No, his best friend.
his
Best friend. Got it.
best friend.
He is.
the one,
John is the one that he says, "This is your mother. This is your son."
Got it.
Because John, by pretty much all accounts, John was Jesus' like best friend.
Got it.
Inner circle. So you know what's interesting about the depiction of Mary Magdalene is there's and I did a deep dive on this because they show her and then they show the scene where Jesus is drawing in the sand, and it's the story about the sinful woman, and a bunch of the townsmen threw her at his feet and said
She needs to be stoned.
she
She's an
needs to be
adulteress.
stoned. She's an adulterous woman. And so Jesus, and it's all silent at that point, but they're basically depicting, and at the end, it's Mary Magdalene. Well, there's nothing scriptural that says that Mary Magdalene
Was that woman.
was even an adulterous woman.
Yeah.
There was a famous message given by a pope about 200 years ago, and because of that, everyone since that time has confused three women in the Bible, making Mary Magdalene, all of them, saying that she was most likely a prostitute. But it's interesting. You go through Scripture, and there's really not much to support that. There is quite clearly supported that she had 7 demons living within her, which
is in The Chosen, pretty much
episode 1.
Yeah, that's exactly the focus of her relationship. Yeah.
What a great show. I might binge the whole show this week.
So we're getting off topic on there.
30-second synopsis. Marcus, 9 words after my slam poetry, or you
I think I got it.
Oh.
Put me on the clock though.
Yeah. So ready, set, go.
Jesus Christ dies and raises again the 3rd day. Bam! First try episode in the history of the cover.
No, it was
I nailed it.
Christ is betrayed and endures suffering for our sins.
Yeah, yours is more accurate because he doesn't necessarily raise until the last scene.
It was
It's not-
also
it's not a
9
part of it.
words,
It's not
and
a
you
part of
used
those.
like you were messing with
No,
your
I
He was
got
fingers.
good. He
I
was
nailed
good.
it.
He had to think in
Play
the
it
middle
back.
too. He
Play
almost,
it back.
By
I
the
think
way,
he was doing syllables.
you're smart
The
about.
problem is if you do Jesus and Christ, like it
You
messes
got to
with
be. Oh,
you.
I was gonna say he's very good about not wasting words
Yeah.
because you didn't need to use both. You didn't.
Yeah, I know you're feeling a little threatened because it was that easy for me to do it in 2
Yeah, I'm
seconds.
extremely threatened.
I'm way less impressed with the first 48 episodes now. But I just saw you do that. All right. Slam poetry reel.
Hold on. Remington literally just repeated the gospel he's learned since he was 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it perfectly 9 words?
I have a video of my 4-year-old daughter saying basically what Remington just said.
Exactly.
You know
which-
what? I think what happened, Rem actually downloaded the New City Catechism. that
Yeah,
you recommended.
exactly.
Very nice.
Oh, cool. What you talking about?
All right, slam poetry, here we go. Satan, tempting. Judas, plotting. Peter, denying. Caiaphas, lying. Mary, mourning. Pilate, buck passing. Romans, beating. Mel Gibson, daring. Simon, carrying, temple tearing, Jesus bearing. Yes, thank you.
That was great, Brad.
Thank you. Appreciate
That was
it.
great.
Simon carrying. Do you guys like that one?
I don't get it.
Simon
no
of
way
Cyrene?
you composed that in 30
Oh,
seconds.
that Simon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Simon.
Well done.
Thank
I
you.
liked his depiction. I liked
I'm
his
just really
character.
impressed that you
What-
composed that in 30 seconds.
What did he walk away thinking? What in the movie?
In the
Who?
movie.
In the movie, he's staring at
Caiaphas?
Jesus. Yeah, he's staring at Jesus. Jesus is on all fours, can't breathe, looking dead-eyed.
So if you don't know, there was a rule back then in Rome that if you were a Jew and you saw someone carrying a cross and you were asked by a Roman soldier
not
to help
just
them,
cross, a Roman could stop a Jew and ask him to carry
His stuff.
anything.
Oh, right, because this happens in The Chosen as well.
yeah,
That's compared to The
anything
Chosen. Yeah.
for a certain amount of time. Like,
Yeah.
and the Jew will have to drop everything and do that thing until it proceeds with his day.
Yes.
Like in Jewish culture, like they were completely owned by the Romans.
Correct. At this time. So Simon of Cyrene, I think is how the Bible identifies him. He has carried this cross to help Jesus get it up because he's out of strength. So you're asking, how did he feel leaving? I think
Well, I'm saying if you remember in the show, there's a very slow motion, intimate moment when he's been defending Jesus, like, stop hitting him. I'm not going to carry it anymore. You can put me in jail unless you just let me carry this cross from because I'm done with this. They get up on the hill. They are doing something behind him. And there's two characters. It's Simon and Jesus, and they're staring at each other for like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what he's thinking. And then he walks away and he keeps looking back at Jesus, and then he walks away, looks back at Jesus. Like, what's he thinking? What's he processing there?
I think the goal was to make him appear to have something changed. My
why?
thought on this
Yeah.
guy changed something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
but
because that's what
something
I
felt.
gathered as well. Almost like he's just he's impressed with the resilience of Jesus to keep going,
He
or something.
probably, was just yelling, "Crucify him!"
Right, and that's what I'm like.
And
different.
then as he's helping him, he's like, "Man, this guy's innocent."
Maybe.
What have we done? I think that that's probably
Now, biblically, it would make sense that if he was, I guess Jews were coming to Jerusalem anyway, whether they were
for
privy
Passover.
to Jesus' situation or not. The way the movie depicts it almost is this: he's just passing through, though, is how the movie depicts
Well,
it.
he would have. He wasn't necessarily from Jerusalem,
But-
however, he would have been there.
It appeared in the movie like he wasn't there to watch. Like there were people there to watch Jesus carry this cross and make fun of him while he did it or whatever. They almost made it look like he was passing through, and the Roman soldiers were like, yeah.
That being said, public sentiment had completely shifted on Jesus. He went from entering in on Sunday and everybody saying, "Hosanna, King of David, save us," to crucify him.
So that's my question that I guess anytime I've read this story in the Bible dozens of times at this point, do you feel like the people that were there waving palm branches on him as he rides on this donkey, yelling that he's the Messiah, do you believe those people are now in hiding, or are those same people now flipped?
No, they're
and
flipped
the same
because
people.
they're expecting him to be a war general.
Correct.
And when he doesn't show up to take
And
over
They
the
wanted him to
Romans,
take
when he doesn't
over
do any
Rome.
of that, because on day one they're like, here he is, he's flipping tables, this is what we wanted, this is what we asked for, and then that's where it ends.
And in the meantime, the Pharisees and everybody else, they're accusing him of blasphemy.
Right, the high priest and everyone are turning.
and when he's not a war general, they're like, oh, they were right.
Yep,
Got it.
When he can't conquer even them,
Yep.
then
he can't even overcome his own people.
yeah, and he's arrested by them. Well, he must not be the Messiah. And I mean, I guess you could even think, I don't know why, but you could even think like, hey, if he is the Messiah and he is arrested, then he'll break free and that'll start his reign.
Right.
You know?
We can't lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've completely shifted on him, right? And even though he's done these miracles, I can't imagine that anybody who was healed by him shifted on him. But other than that, man.
What made us stop and think? Probably plenty.
Pope Gregory the First, by the way. That's where it happened.
Oh, yeah.
That's when people started. They were confusing. It's the 6th century, by the way.
Which
This
is interesting because
ancient.
I'm pretty sure Pope Gregory was a little bit controversial.
Well, he was. I mean, because he basically said that was the same person. Mary Magdalene, the unnamed sinful woman who anointed Jesus' feet.
Yeah.
Second woman. Third woman caught in adultery in John 8. And basically the teaching was that was all the same person.
Was
also.
this
Not
him getting
inconceivable? But
was
I don't
this
know
was
why.
this gonna him getting fired up and just rambling, or was this
The more I read it, the more it's like, I can't prove this.
Mhm.
This is just speculation. But when you get to a certain level and your identity is wrapped up into your take on the Bible, it's really easy to get all revved up and make almost like Colin Cowherd like takes on the Bible to go down in history for the one who made that connection. I can't prove it. I don't know if this is what's happening here, but I do know that happens a lot with celebrity pastors and popes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the record, I don't think it's the same girl.
All right. What made me stop and think? I said, you said, how would it feel to be that guy, or what was he thinking?
Yeah.
Right? I said, what would it be to be that Roman soldier that Peter cuts off his ear?
Mm-hmm. First scene.
And then Jesus literally takes your ear that's got to be hurting. I mean, I've never had my ear
Immense
cut
pain is
off,
cut off.
but like, it's got to be
Can't
awful.
hear anything.
Bleeding a ton, like just awful. And then all of a sudden, he picks your ear up and puts it back on, and it's better.
Mm-hmm. Like, what do you do?
Like,
and you're
I
trying to
would be,
arrest this man?
I would be like tremoring. Like I think I would be scared.
Yeah.
Like, if he can do that, like, what else can this guy do?
Yeah.
Like,
You
what
don't
are
think
we
there was-
doing right now?
You don't think there's any part of him who's like immediately, I'm following this guy the rest of my life kind of thing?
I'm not sure. I just know that, like, because, he's looking at this guy, this is just a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this is. Right? Like, you're a dog. Right? You're dog meat. You're what I feed my dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so, I don't know, but like, I think I would be a little scared
Yeah.
if I was supernaturally healed.
I think
like
the movie
that,
did a good
by
job of depicting that.
by the person that I was.
I mean, in the movie, a whole scene
Exactly.
passes by. There's tons of action. Everyone's fighting each
And he
other. And that
can't move.
dude's still on his knees, just staring straight ahead, can't fathom what just happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's fairly accurate. And then Peter just walks away just staring at him, too. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I feel like, and I said this before, but that's where I feel like the depictions of the disciples was a little bit of a miss in the movie. I feel like they could have done a better job of even Peter's denial.
Yeah.
I don't want to
It's
pick it
just
apart
time.
too much.
I think it's a
it
time
was done
thing.
really well. It was just like, I
Because
forget,
they spent
like
the
whole
time
movie,
on the.
We've
the whole
talked
movie
about
is this guy
this.
getting a beating.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
talked about this before, but how are there things that you go, I know this isn't biblical, but we're going to let this one slide because it just fits into the amount of time we have, or what
There's not much in this movie that's
Yeah.
not biblical.
I don't know if that's I don't. For me, it's not the things that you put in there that are cultural. That's not necessarily in the Bible. It's for me, it's when you put something in that's definitely not true. When you're trying to get
there you
something
go.
that's biblically
That if it's
depicted.
not true.
Yeah.
So you're able to grab historically at something.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
I can ride with
could have happened, but I mean, I'll tell you what. Like, so David, have you guys watched David?
Not yet.
I'd be interested to see what you guys think about David. I think but out of the three things we're talking about today, Passion, Chosen, and David, I think David, from what I've seen, takes a little bit more liberties, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Makes me a little bit more uncomfortable. But
Well,
it just
The
forces, what it
Chosen-
forces people to do if they're
Research on
interested,
their own.
research your own,
Yeah.
read your Bible.
The Chosen just takes these characters that we know and gives them backstories and life and everything else. You
Right.
know, I haven't seen House of David. I'm assuming it does similar. You know, Because the problem with Christian entertainment up until really this point here, in my opinion, like this was the best thing I'd ever seen that like would fall in the realm of Christian entertainment.
Sure.
But at the time, but the biggest problem I'd always had was either it was completely in left field and heretical, or it's just this was said in the Bible, so that's the line that's delivered.
Yeah.
And it's just so stale.
And it's in King James
it's just
version.
so stale, you know.
Man. Yeah,
I'd rather just read the Bible.
the concept, the thought that King James is the best translation for modern day Christians in America is hilarious to me, because it's literally the only reason people think that is because it was the first one, and there's literally people who think that it was the original translation of the Bible.
I know. It's
Like, you're laughing, but like I've talked
They
to
literally
Christian
think that.
friends who believe that
Yeah.
until like you could just, it's like a simple Google, man. Like just,
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of those people. I mean, there's a lot of things that I get wrong.
You're just making fun of the idea.
I am, because it's pretty, it's the same thing. Here's what you don't want. You don't want translations that are paraphrases that you're taking word for word literally, because that's when you get in trouble. But I'll tell you this much: at this stage of my life, one of my favorite things to do is read in ESV, which I think is probably closely translated, and hit the compare button on the Bible app and compare it to 10 different versions. That's when I really get to the bottom of what the verse is trying to say. When I read New Living Translation, Message, even KJV alongside it, that's when I can really figure it out.
Or sometimes I'm like, how did you get that from that?
Yeah.
Sometimes it literally
Yeah.
changes
When
the
you
way-
read like the Message or something.
Yes, yeah. It's like what are
Well,
we doing?
yeah,
Not even the
those are-
message sometimes.
There's some translations that are just terrible.
Well, they're just paraphrases.
Yeah, or
And they're
just
modern
bad.
paraphrases. I think there's a one that's like modern with like
There
slang
is.
lingo in it now.
So
Well, there's
Bi-
some that are really bad.
So Bible Project, Tim Mackey
Yeah.
is I would call him the
Professor?
He's the professor of the two. He actually, I believe, has gone through the Greek and created his own translation.
yeah. I mean, so my dad did that. That's what they do
Man,
in Greek school.
I think that there's a reason why people can spend decades.
I
on this.
took a semester of Greek in college, and I thought, man, this will be really, really good. I thought maybe I'll go into ministry someday, go get an MDiv. It'll be really smart for me to have Greek. Only D I've ever gotten in my life.
Wow.
And now there was a lot going on that semester,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
But
I don't
would
know
you
how
say
much
it's just
that-
not your strength? Like foreign language is not your strength, or specifically Greek?
I can learn foreign languages, but the amount of time that would have required
Yeah.
for me to actually learn
I took 3 years of Spanish.
compared to the amount of time that I had,
Yeah.
because I was out slinging knives.
I took 3 years of Spanish and have gone to Mexico every year for 20 years, and I know El Gato and Mi Pantalones. That's what I have left. Donde está la biblioteca?
está la biblioteca?
Those are the two phrases I got. Like, there's basic Spanish words where I'm like, what is that, Kels?
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. It's just because it was
I
not a
can-
priority. And what a
I can
waste, by
read-
the way.
I
I would
can
love
read
to speak Spanish now.
I can read Spanish really well. If people are speaking Spanish, I can catch
Like
quite
every
a bit.
couple
So
words.
just to be
of what
clear,
they said.
when you say you can read Spanish well, meaning you can read it and be in your head translating it to English, or you
Yes.
can just say the words, because it's not that hard to just say the words.
read it in English. So
I can read it in Spanish really well.
So I got a buddy. Actually, we all have a buddy, Nate Nupanga,
Yeah.
who speaks 4 languages fluently.
Yeah.
French. I mean, he's like
Where did Nate grow up?
the Congo.
Nigeria,
Dude, I'm
right?
telling
The
you,
Congo.
America is one of the few countries in the world that, and maybe I'm overstating this. Everywhere
You're
I
not
go and
overstating
it.
everywhere
European
else I go,
countries
everywhere
think we're
else I go,
stupid.
it's like normal
To have multiple
to know
language.
2, 3, 4 languages.
But I asked Nate. I was like, "So what language are you thinking in?"
oh,
Because you know what I mean.
yeah.
And I think he currently is English, but he used to think in French. Can you imagine thinking in French?
I was
Just
We-
kissing in French.
Oui.
Okay, so real maybe just it
Yes,
came
yes.
out.
I
so
just
long
like
to say.
saying wee wee.
Yes,
How
yes.
would someone that speaks sign language only
Yeah.
think?
In sign
think
language.
they would think in words.
sign language. Yeah, what are you talking about,
No,
bro?
if they're deaf.
So if there's
if
a
they're-
sign language for the word dog, when they think of the motion that it takes to
They thi- that's
Or
what I'm
they
saying.
think
Okay.
of the word dog,
Well, no, but
Yeah.
if they're
or what a dog is.
Yeah.
all right, that's fair. Okay.
So like,
Okay,
what
what
does
else
Helen
made you
Keller
think?
call her dog? Oh my gosh. Mangus just goes for it. There is no mystery. There's no mystery in comedic timing with Marcus. It's just what it is. All right, let me
We
bring
might
it
have
back.
our first cut of all time.
I've got
All right, I have something. Jesus.
Oh, no, that'll make people laugh.
We open. It's so fitting that Riley shared a story today on Instagram that said, "Cheers to not being canceled yet," and it was when you and your friend start a podcast, and the next slide was them walking into jail. Jesus. It starts with Jesus praying, and in the Bible it says he's praying so hard he's sweating blood.
Sweating blood, yeah.
I mean, I'm so impressed how often Jesus goes away to pray. Like he obviously he spends more time praying about doing the things than he does doing the things. That's a huge
modeling for us.
We should be doing that, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, what are the freaking disciples doing?
Sleeping.
His best friends, the people he's been training for the last 3 years, are sitting there praying, but they're falling asleep. Like, how typical. And by the way,
but
that
they
would
don't
100% be
know.
me.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, not to give them an excuse, but they don't understand what's going on in this moment.
Yeah, dude. I already know
They're blind. They're blind to the Last Supper.
I agree. They don't get it.
They don't get it. He just
at all.
says someone's going to leave and betray me. Judas gets up and leaves, and they're like, I wonder who's going to betray him. Like, you know what I mean?
So-
like, it's not even a thought.
So he's praying so hard he's sweating blood from the pressure. Is there any other way for this to happen besides this? What could we accomplish that? Could we be praying so hard that we sweat blood? Because like, is that
It's a
that
real thing. It's a
possible?
scientific thing.
It
yes.
is.
You could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's an anxiety thing.
So what? So it's
Because
an
he'd be so
anxiety.
stressed
Anxiety.
out. I mean,
Yeah.
think about how stressed out you'd be.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure.
Like, you
and not
know-
just knowing you're gonna die, you know the type of death, you know the wrath.
You're
that
literally
about to-
you're literally going. He knows that he has to experience the wrath of God.
There's a really good sermon.
Like
yeah.
the wrath of God.
So I go ahead.
I don't subscribe to everything Mark Driscoll says, and he's had a lot of drama in the press. But
So for those of you unfamiliar, that's like when you say, "Hey, this is a buddy. You just got to kind of get to know him first." Anyway, keep going.
I don't co-sign on everything
Not
he says.
exactly.
I-
This is it is important
Yeah,
because
yeah, I know.
he has some incredible teaching. But
He does.
You can't take everything.
What
that he
was
says
crazy
and
is
does as
when I was
gospel.
in college, I mean, he would preach for 90 minutes and he would get college kids to sit there and shut up and listen. Like,
Yeah.
that's a really hard thing
Yeah.
to do at a church service. But since then, I mean, I think it's well documented. He had some ego issues, and I don't believe in cancer culture. I don't believe that you screw up and that there's no longer value for you to add. And I believe that he adds a lot of value in his messages. That being said, there's an amazing message he gives on the crucifixion. And there's details. So like you're asking about the sweats of blood, like this is one of the most, spoken about sermons, this scene and everything that happens to follow, like down to the depiction of why a stick with a sponge on it was used with vinegar to give it to Jesus. What that actually was. Do you guys know what that was?
Wasn't that
because he
prophecy?
couldn't have
No, it was prophecy, but like, do you know what that stick with a sponge on it actually is? It was for public restrooms. The toilet boy would go around, and that's what he would use
Clean.
to wipe butts. Is a stick with a sponge on it, and that's literally what they doused in vinegar and gave him to his mouth. I mean, that's the level of disrespect that's happening. And so, like little things like that. That's not in scripture. That's historical. Like that's where like historical. Jewish culture, Roman culture really comes in to help you with that picture.
Oh, jeez. So follow up to that. So Jesus obviously knows that he's got to be sacrificed to save us. He knows that's why he's here. He knows that's why he's lived this perfect life, lamb with no spots. So why then does he still ask God to be saved from this, to be taken away from this? If he knows, what does that represent? What does that mean when he's saying, "Hey,
it's a great question.
Take this from me," even though he knows.
But what's the second thing he says? Do you know?
If
I'm not testing. I just wonder if you know.
If it's your will, I know
Yeah.
it's still going to be done.
That's the most important thing.
Correct. So, but I've always.
The interesting thing is that the way the movie depicts this, I think, is actually helpful to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does the movie depict it? Why is he saying that?
He's in pain.
He's actually being tempted.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the devil's there with
surrounding him.
Yep.
The devil is tempting him because what do we do as humans, right? Like we think, okay, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. I know that this is what you want me to do, but I would really like to do this, and this seems good to me. Can I do this, please?
Mm.
And what's interesting is that Jesus, because he's perfect, never does that.
Mm-hmm.
But what you see, and what you see in the scripture and what you see in this movie that I think is really well depicted is the struggle, is the fact that he was tempted and didn't. And why didn't he? Because he's in prayer, because he's been led by the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really beautiful.
I was always taught that in prayer, Jesus does a modeling job of how he wants us to pray. I mean, he does with the Lord's Prayer, but he's still modeling that in Gethsemane, where he's modeling for us the request that we bring to God and the reason why, even if you believe in predestination, like we could get really deep into Calvinism, but even if you believe those, like regardless of what you believe about God's sovereignty, Jesus still says, bring your requests to God through me.
Yeah.
And that's an act of obedience. So how you feel when your loved one gets cancer or when you're in pain and trauma, regardless of knowing that God has an outcome already figured out, if you believe in free will or if you don't, it doesn't matter as much as it matters that you're supposed to bring your requests to God, because it makes you closer to him. And that's what prayer is. And that's a really hard thing to grasp, because especially if you're like a realist and you're like, it doesn't matter what I pray, God's already figured it out. Well, that's not what this is about.
No, it's you sharing, and because
walking
you're
with
in
God,
a relationship, right? It's you sharing, like, this is what I want, but also like, if it's not your will, I'm still going to
help
believe.
me to be okay with that.
Yep.
And it's really, really good.
I really like what you said though about like the depiction of Satan, which Satan
I thought that imagery was really, really well done. And he's really, really weird and like,
Satan.
Well,
yeah, it reminds me of
she.
Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hold on, what's with the baby?
Yeah,
Was the-
demon
I really don't
baby.
understand.
Was this just
what
kind of
that is.
random? They're like,
Just
let's
demonic.
make this
Like
more
how
weird.
can we make this super demonic? Yeah.
Wow, good
so,
job.
So we're at the part where they flip him over, and that's when it's like, and they start beat him in the belly and ripping him off.
This is the AI overview from Google. The baby is not a literal child, but rather a representation of evil's ability to take on a seemingly innocent form.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes sense.
During
However,
during the beating,
I would contend against AI. I would contend that if you ever think that we're not born with sin, all you need to do is be a parent. Because kids care about nothing but themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they are the most sinful little demons.
That took a turn for the worse.
So
We're watching this background. I want to
you-
drop this fun fact. Go ahead.
did you realize? So when they're beating, and I don't know what the name of
That was Tim Chalice?
There's like we'll call him the manager of the Roman soldiers, who is basically saying, hey, you're going to use these tools.
Centurion or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, they're beating him and they're basically taking orders from him. And then when he makes the motion with his hand and he turns his hand over, for the first time I'm like, oh, what? He's done. It's done.
Yeah.
And when they turn him over to start beating him on the front side,
I gotta be honest.
I lost it.
Yeah, me too. Out of all the characters in this movie, that's the one that at least I hated the most. I just wanted justice for that character.
I hate the
Like,
most.
can you think of someone that was more
Caiaphas? I think I couldn't stop.
Really?
I was so, and I don't know how realistic that depiction was. Whatever. I really did not like Caiaphas.
Yeah, I can see that, but like this dude is literally watching and knowing. And by the way, the Roman general knows that he's going too far. He knows he's going too far. That's not what he was told to do.
Yeah.
And the cat of nine tails, it was believed that 40 lashes would kill a man. So they always did 39. Well, they did 39 for one weapon, 39 for the next weapon, flipped him over, did 39 for that weapon.
Yep.
Yeah. So on that note, it would take 10 hours to put Jim Caviezel into Scourge makeup.
Wow.
On most days, he would sleep in it so that he didn't have to wake up and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of a fun fact from The Grinch. Did we do The Grinch or did I just look this up?
No, we didn't
So
do The Grinch.
Jim Carrey literally...
We talked about it.
So he when he did The Grinch, he would have the same amount, 10, 12 hours worth of makeup. He literally got a therapist to coach him on not going crazy. I'm dead serious. Like he was like,
Well, that's the first
gave
thing
him
they do
panic
when they
attacks for
torture
just
you.
I
sitting in a
believe there
chair
was-
for 10
deprive you of
hours.
sleep.
I believe there was music he would listen to.
Oh, he got
Every time.
coaching. Like it was like that big of a deal.
Wow.
10 hours because he was every single day, and you can't really sleep in The Grinch.
I don't know, man.
Maybe you
It
can.
looks a little comfy. It looks like that really itchy Halloween costume material, though, for sure. What else made us stop and think?
I just wrote just the power of groupthink, right? And I just tried to put myself in the position of just somebody who's coming to Jerusalem, not only for Passover, but to see this Jesus guy that everybody's been talking about. And you're there that week. I think that, and this is me being super self-reflective, and it makes me think about like my life today, but I do think that I probably would have just gone along with the crowd and like completely missed Jesus. Like I would have missed.
Like is it a big old event?
I would have I would have missed that he is Christ.
Totally.
And I would have been one in the crowd just saying crucify him, and would have been, like he deserves this.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a cautionary tale for me. I wrote that down as something that made me think.
You guys study much of Nicodemus? Like know much about Nicodemus? He's not a character. He's not a person that appears much in the Bible. There's really only 3 references.
Right.
But it's really fascinating if you want to get like the full circle study, like ChatGPT, and ask, give me the full circle story on Nicodemus's journey with Jesus. Because it's like John 3:16 is when he meets in the middle of the night and he's telling Nicodemus, and Nicodemus is like, what is this? And then there's one other verse that
got to
kind
be
of
born again.
Yeah, he's not understanding.
Yep.
Then there's another verse where he's like, oh, I'm kind of getting it. And then in the end, he's the one standing up and saying, hey, maybe we should listen to this guy. And you can kind of see him come full circle as a Pharisee.
Mm-hmm.
It's really moving, actually. It's very touching to kind of watch his journey, because I feel like that's who I would have been. I don't know that I would have been like, if I'm thinking modern day, what our struggles are, like I definitely identify with Pharisees more than I do outsiders. Like arrogance in the scripture knowledge about Jesus, like, getting in the way of a relationship.
I guess I've never put myself in the position of a Pharisee at that time.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's
I
where
was
my head
watching
always
it.
goes.
I was watching it and looking at myself as like, I'm a faithful Jew, excited about this coming son of David, who's supposed to be the Messiah because he's performing all these works.
I would say
And
that's
then
the group that it would have
being
been.
disappointed and frustrated and like, no, this guy's a fake and a fraud, just like everybody else. who's
Totally.
come to submit Jesus.
Marcus would be like, this guy's not the real deal.
I think I would have.
And I think that for people that will say you can't grow up Christian, grew up in a Christian household, say that. That's definitely who might identify most with. And then for people that did not, and I was so clear on all my sins before I even knew, like that I had before I even knew they were sins, that I just couldn't deny them. Right? It's two very different perspectives to show up with, for sure.
Yeah.
It reminds me of some of the people I know that have the hardest time forgiving others of sins are the ones that at times have grown up in a Christian bubble the longest.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Portrayal of Mary. So The Chosen, Mary is very old in The Chosen, and in this, Mary looks kind of young.
She's only 4 years older than Jim Caviezel.
Dude, but here's what's great. Isn't that probably more accurate than The Chosen's depiction of Mary? Like Mary, they were teenagers.
Because she was 13.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think.
Well, I mean, we don't know how old she was, but you know,
we know she was a
would've been
teenager. No.
Teenager.
Yeah. So I think this is pretty good one. I think point passion.
For Mel.
Point passion. Good job, Mel.
All right, fine.
What group actually arrested Jesus and brought him
we
to the high
talked about
priest?
the Pharisees. I wrote this down. I think this is important. Are they worse than Grandpa Joe?
We bring up Grandpa Joe. Grandpa Joe's the new
He's
con.
like the baseline.
He's the new con festival.
he's
We
the
haven't brought
baseline.
up going to the con festival in a minute.
That's true.
And we really should, because we're going to con. I
a good
think we
point.
replaced it with the fact that we're going to Sundance now.
Mm-hmm.
And if I know anything about us, we are going to go to Sundance.
Have you booked those tickets for us yet?
Not yet. There's
Spirit Airlines.
Spirit.
I wonder if we could
only
get
fly Spirit when it's on the
Big
cover.
I wonder if we could get Spirit to
Sponsor us?
sponsors. Do they have 3 big chairs though? I doubt it.
Yeah, how many big chairs are there?
4, 6, 8. I think 8.
So it's just like first
So
class.
we could all go.
By the way,
we could all go in the big chair and bring our spouses.
So here's what's something else really hilarious. So I think in most updated planes, the pilots in the cockpit have their own restroom, have all of that. Like that cockpit's locked and they're not coming out of that thing. They're never opening that door while the plane's going. On a Spirit airline, what happens is
Anybody can be the pilot.
well, that's right. They don't have like they don't go.
I know
and-
where you're going with this.
they
This is how it is on American too.
Oh really?
They
They
just
don't
put
give
up
drinks.
a curtain and they come out.
No,
Oh.
they put up like they roll the bar
A
out
blockade, yeah.
and it's blocking it, and then
They do that
come
on
out.
American too.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's
All
not a
right.
Spirit thing. Because I was really disappointed that
I was
I
like,
couldn't pee for like.
that's what you were disappointed about.
Yeah, because dude, when I'm on a plane, like I pee a lot.
Oh, I'm aisle out of respect for everyone else. People talk about the
Because I
leg.
like to have soda to make my stomach settle.
I mean, I haven't flown with Jim in a while, but I imagine that's probably how he is too.
yeah.
No,
That dude.
no. Jim would sit window and get up 8 times,
Sorry.
and not
Sorry.
once consider, not because he's being mean, but he would never once consider that was a big deal. And by the entire time, he'd have his headphones in, be talking at a volume 18 across the aisle to whoever he knows that's on the plane.
Wow, we're going after Jimmy.
You know what's interesting? I'm watching this in the background. He's carrying the cross now. So he experienced a shoulder separation in this scene when they dropped the cross on him.
Oh.
It's 150 pounds, and he literally they separate his shoulder. In the scene, it's still the scene that's in the movie, kind of like Jurassic Park, where he lights that spark and it really takes part of his flesh off.
Yeah.
I mean, when he holds that thing, like it's like, please, could I just die?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
He's by the
He
way, he was
holds it
struck
like
by
it's-
lightning
he
twice
holds
during
it
the filming of this.
like it's a relief.
Did
What,
you hear that?
Jim Caviezel?
Yeah, he was struck by lightning twice.
No.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah, that's a fun fact.
that's
for you.
spiritual warfare.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what I read. Now I was like, oh well, he's on a cross, makes sense, but twice is weird. But as I'm reading some of this like behind the scenes stuff, it truly did feel like spiritual warfare. Like they did not want this movie to get made.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it makes you wonder too, because like Satan is limited by time and space. He's not omnipresent. He's not everywhere. However,
Right.
his demons and sin is everywhere.
Yeah, his legions.
but it makes you wonder where he is. It makes you wonder if he made a special appearance for something like this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that an interesting thought?
So, yeah, that's really, really interesting thought.
I don't. If you have answers on that, email us at thecoverpod@gmail.com.
What else was I?
How's that for? How's that for a nice little?
That was pretty good. I loved how I don't know if you guys noticed, Mel would use sound effects to set off
That's what I was gonna.
flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I loved
nails
those
and stuff,
transitions.
yeah.
The nails, the gravel,
So,
the wood.
Fun fact: he originally opted out for any movie score at all. He wasn't going to have any score, but they put
That's-
it back
can't
in
do
it,
that.
and you can't.
Yeah,
I'm sure he watched it and he was like,
No,
Not-
I think
he wanted it to be raw, probably,
the
right?
The crew talked him into it, and they ended up winning like an award for music.
Are there
Scores make movies,
It really
man.
does. John Williams, I think it was John. I need to look this up. I think it was John Williams who wanted to do. No. James Horner. James Horner wanted to do. Who did the Titanic?
Yeah.
Wanted to score this. They ended up with someone else. I'll look it
So,
up.
okay.
was it
Nominated for 3 Oscars, by the way.
Aren't there churches that believe any worship that is aided by electronic instruments would be like not good? Would it be from that? Was it from that perspective he was thinking?
I don't think so.
potentially? No.
I mean, I doubt it.
Okay.
How about this? I think it's the same. I think it's actually connected. He does this film in Aramaic. He does the film in Aramaic.
That was one of my questions.
Is this film better because it's in Aramaic?
Yes, 100%. And he almost, again, to stay authentic, he didn't want to use subtitles. He got talked into that as well.
I was surprised by that too. I totally.
I'm
So-
very glad there was subtitles.
So
Yeah.
when I bought it on Amazon Prime and I started to play it,
you had to turn it on.
I had to turn subtitles on.
Me too.
And I
Yep.
almost watched it without it, but I knew I had to come up with quotes.
You know, I'm trying to remember.
And I think if
back.
I would watch it without it,
In the
don't
movies?
know that the movie theater had it.
Well,
I
if he-
remember
if he didn't
thinking.
release
I
it
don't
with
remember. I
subtitles?
think it did. I think it did.
It did?
I think it did.
Yeah, I remember doing that before too. Maybe it was on at my home. Like it doesn't. I think that's what it was. You can opt into it instead of out.
I
just
think the
because you
theater
wanted
has
it.
subtitles.
Yeah.
I think it did.
And Aramaic would have been that was correct. That was the language that they all.
Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek.
So yeah,
Would many of them have known all three of those though? The disciples.
it would have been an amalgamation.
Not Greek, because Greek. Well, yeah. Greek was New Testament. Greek came after because that was
Okay.
the setting.
Like
Old
some of the
Testament's
New
in
Testament
Hebrew,
is written in Aramaic.
Aramaic.
Well, they've got schools that are Aramaic, schools that are Greek. You kind of put it all together.
Did they have multiple languages in this film? Were there people talking
I
non-Aramaic?
think it's all in Aramaic.
Even the Jewish writings.
The Romans. Oh, the Jewish writings are probably not.
I think
they're
it's
probably Hebrew.
Yeah,
You're probably right.
Roman soldiers? What would they have actually spoke?
Italian.
time.
Like
Well, probably Greek.
yeah,
But they could have.
well, in the movie it's Italian.
Got it.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I should have known that when he said grazie.
Speak third most
Speaks
Italian.
most Italian. What question are we on?
We haven't done that yet.
What made you think?
Oh,
We haven't done.
Oh my
Inglourious
gosh!
Basterds.
Oh, I was watching Jeopardy before I came here,
Did not see that coming.
and one of the Jeopardy categories was Scorsese films,
nice.
and all it had was a quote, and you had to name the
We
Scorsese
would have
film.
crushed that.
Guess who got every one of those?
Nice.
suckers right?
Nice.
That's
Way to
right.
go, Quinn. Good work. Nailed it.
Quinn watches all the Scorsese
Okay,
movies.
so
with me.
here's a fun fact for you, by the way. I
Are
was
you
telling
mad at me for letting her watch this?
I was telling you that it was like
I'm surprised.
NC-17.
I'm not mad at you. I wasn't even mad at you, but I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You make aggressive parenting decisions that I'm not mad at, but I don't know that. I think there. I think matters is the family dynamic as well. In addition to it,
I'm not mad at it.
You
It just
know-
adds to my list of reasons Reed's not going to babysit my kids.
That's funny. I will say that I think that the reason that I'm more if Reed was Quinn's age, I would not have let Reed watch
correct.
this.
Yeah.
However, because I've now experienced, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm more willing because I actually believe they can handle more.
Here's my thing. I was actually thinking about this exact conversation. I knew we would get into this because we've talked about how much we let our kids be exposed to with movies. I think if I was at the crucifixion with my kid, with Charlie, who's my oldest, 8,
Yeah.
I'd be turning her head away. Like, I wouldn't let her watch. I wouldn't be watching certain things. I don't necessarily know that I need to see everything. Like,
You wouldn't have been able to avoid it, though.
I feel like I can turn away like Mary did. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I know,
think
but
there's
what
certain.
I'm saying
I'm not saying
that
that.
Charlie would have already seen many crucifixions.
That was one of my notes, was that they're all
They were
watching this
public.
like this is a Tuesday out to
It's
lunch.
their movie.
Yeah.
They were public.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie would have grown up seeing crucifixions.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are soft generation.
I'm not
culture.
doing it to make my kids like. I'm not doing that. But I put the movie on, and she came in there, and I had a decision to make, And so she's 8, so everybody knows she's going to turn 9 in June. I would have been fine with either Reed or Colby seeing this for sure. But and Reed actually watched most of it with me as well. But with Quinn, I literally stopped and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I think this is going to bring up some really incredible conversations. We're coming up on Easter right now, and her knowing and feeling, because you feel it when he gets like hurt and beat, and like that, I think can deepen her faith.
No, and I think not. It's not a. I don't think, and I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think it's a blanket. Every one of your kids when they turn 8. Quinn is a pretty well along, understands the Bible 8-year-old. She is.
That's true.
I don't think every so
Context
I think,
matters.
Yeah, I think Quinn is. Now you know what you just said, something that I think the first time I watched it, I cried a little bit. What I find, the emotion that I have, and I don't think there's any right or wrong answer here, but the emotion I have is anger.
Yeah.
I'm angry the entire movie. I am so mad the whole movie. But to your point, Marcus, like we all think, like it's funny. People.
Do you reason yourself through it? Like you're like, I can't be mad. This had to happen. Otherwise, there's no redemption.
No, I think what I keep reminding myself is everybody like always says, well, Jesus hung out with, tax collectors and prostitutes, and he'd be at the bar with us, and it's like, dude, you're the guy at the bar getting saved, not Jesus going to the bar. So like, I keep on like it reminds me of like yes, I'm angry, but I'm the reason this had to happen. So I guess I can be, but I'm angry the whole.
I think angry is a fine.
Yeah.
Because God was angry. Like God's anger comes out on his son.
And I think
his
that's
anger at us.
That's why when you asked earlier, the person I hate the most, Caiaphas, him just watching at the end.
Like Caiaphas should have known.
In arrogance, just I'm so angry.
And he's more concerned about the veil being torn and the temple being destroyed than the body of Christ.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I know I'm getting confused on what exactly happened to this movie versus The Chosen.
That's the scene. It's coming up.
But he's about the destruction of the temple. Like you said, you were going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, right? Like not even was it Jeremiah? Not even Jeremiah did that, right? It's like nobody can do that, and he misses it completely.
Yeah. But did you like? That's when I got. That's when I got.
love the veil.
That's when I got most angry with him. Was when he was just distraught over this beautiful temple being destroyed and like still missing it. Like because you can just tell the reason he's upset is his nice things are broken.
And by the way, temple actually being destroyed, not scriptural. Scriptural. Isn't the veil the only thing that gets torn in the Bible?
No, it was an earthquake.
Basically.
Got it. So the temple actually.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
No, I mean, I don't know how.
Like,
I don't know
if,
how
like,
much
falls down.
Yeah, it wasn't like Samson, but
Yeah. By the way, can we agree that the production value of that scene not great?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It literally looks like
They're just shaking the camera.
It is kind of.
and then it's like two.
Yeah.
It's like puzzle pieces that already you could see the lines on.
Yeah.
And it was like,
that's
but
fair.
to your point,
They ran out
fair.
of money at the end of the movie.
to your
fair.
point, there's so many things like that like happen, and then it's like, how do you still not get it? And it really makes me wonder. Like, I don't know. To your point, Marcus, I probably would have missed it.
The disciples still didn't get it.
Yeah, he literally had to come back for them to finally be, oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
We need to do hidden gems first and then quotes, since we're going to end with movie quotes that are probably scripture.
Yeah, love it.
Because I got rapid fire hidden when you're ready.
Anything else we want to make sure we don't miss that made us stop and think?
No, that was quite a bit.
Was quite
a
a bit.
lot.
That's quite a bit. Hidden gems. Do it.
I got a fun fact for you. So in the Philippines, so we already said it was NC-17, then they released it at R. The same movie that was released R here in the States, which is this movie, was released at PG-13 in the Philippines. So Gab, who's my VA in the Philippines,
Yeah.
I told her that fun fact. I was like, are you guys just numb? Like, is there nothing that shocks you anymore? This movie's PG-13. But it's like, you know, it's all within context.
There's a lot of there's more violence that they've grown up with.
Dude,
or
the
whatever.
Philippines are like every other person knows how to fight Muay Thai and yeah.
Well, this goes with one of my hidden gems. I just said lots of blood squirts.
lots of blood
Lots.
squirts.
There's
She
a lot
does
of
it.
blood.
She
Now
makes,
that's a real question. Is you're so we've made a lot on this podcast. In every war movie and everything else that we've seen, is that like your wives can't watch those movies because of like the blood and the gore. This is as bloody as any movie we've watched. Can your wives watch this?
yeah.
Riley will not watch this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kelsey does, and it's because of this next fun fact that I'm going to read you when I freaking find it. It's number one all time on the most controversial movies voted on by whoever
This
votes on
is?
that thing. Number one most controversial movies of the top 25 controversial on Entertainment
What's number
Weekly.
2?
I don't know, but
What's the
it's
reason?
because it's literally because of the life of Christ, and it's just interesting that like if no one ever followed Christ, no one would care about that. No one would care. This movie wouldn't be what it is. Like the fact that the man lived, and people followed him, and we've been fighting over what his life meant ever since. There's no denial that the life of Christ exists. And that's just one of the things that's still like these lies out there today. Like one of the leading, atheism arguments is that we don't even know if this dude was alive. I think we know.
So do you think if the last 30 seconds of the movie that shows him raising from the dead, if
Yeah.
that wasn't in this movie, do you think that they still would have named it number one most controversial movie of all time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because
in a lot of ways that's the great controversy.
yeah, historically, like even the resurrection, historically, I've read books about how there's more evidence of that than many things people have been put away for years and years and years and years. Besides that, the life of Jesus himself.
Well, I think part of the controversy is a lot of people don't believe that the Jews killed Jesus. That's also a common take. Is like that's a wrongful depiction. Like that part of Scripture is anti-Semitic. And
by the way, all of his disciples were Jewish as well. I think something that gets lost in this is all the first Christians were also Jewish. So yes, the people that killed Jesus were, well, actually, I guess.
Well, not all the first Christians.
Jews and Gentiles. I mean,
there weren't Gentile
the
Christians.
disciples. The apostles.
There you go.
The ones that experienced the risen Jesus.
Correct.
They were pretty much the apostles that are mentioned in the Bible were all Jewish.
Correct.
That's a fair statement.
Yep.
Right? But there were many people probably who saw Jesus after he was resurrected that weren't Jewish.
Correct. I'm with you.
So
And
saying
even-
that
What-
all
what
of
Jesus
the
is
first,
saying- or
saying
Jesus-
that all the first,
what Brett
all
is
the
saying-
first all the first Christians were Jewish is just probably not.
That's not what he said. He said
He said all the first Christians are Jewish. Roll back the tape.
I did say that, but and I think that can be.
I'm just-
It depends
all
on
the
I know
disciples.
what you're
I think
saying.
a better thing to
when's
say is all the
cutoff?
disciples were Christian
Which,
and they were
if
Jewish.
I remember, they were the first Christians. So I think that's a fair statement. However, my point is,
Entertainment Weekly, by the way, June 20, 2006.
is that
What was number 2?
I don't know. It's just the fun fact that is right here.
Well,
I got more fun facts. You ready?
yeah.
This is based on a true story.
I got
Were you
caught
waiting for
just
the-
waiting. Yeah.
It was originally a book. It was first a book. We've all actually read the book before watching the movie.
That's true.
Which we haven't
That's
done.
a good. The
It's
book is
actually
better.
based on the #1 best-selling book of all
Of all
time.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a
Do you know
movie.
what number 2 is, by the way? Do you know
Is it?
Now, hey, wait a second. Was this based on a book or was this based on books?
No.
Compilation of books.
Stop it. It's based on a library.
Oh, let's go.
A canon. Ask me more.
Do you know what the number 2 bestseller of all time is?
The Bible,
No, that's number 1.
the Book of Mormon.
I feel like Purpose-Driven Life is
Purpose-Driven
actually up
Life.
there. Yeah.
Purpose
Is it really?
Isn't that crazy?
It's the number 2 bestseller ever.
Home-
I
Homeboy-
believe so.
Dude, he's literally reverse tithed since it's come out.
Yeah, that's
19,
crazy.
Yeah. Ricky. Not Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Warren.
Ricky Warren.
Ricky Warren.
That's what his dad calls
I
him.
wrote. I wrote that Jim Caviezel is really good at resurrecting as a hidden gem.
You got to get over that. This is the most reoccurring fun fact
I
for
keep
Marcus.
forgetting about Monte Cristo, and it's not true.
I think I said that in the other episode too.
All right, so
Connor
ChatGPT
Monte
has
Cristo.
got me all backwards. This is only giving me fiction works. The 10 best-selling individual. Excluding it. That's crazy.
It
You asked-
excludes the Bible.
It does. It excludes religious and political texts. It gives me. I
that's
said,
dumb.
please give me the top 10 best-selling books of all time, and it
So
immediately
ask
excludes.
it again and say,
Say,
now give me
don't
the list.
exclude that.
No, I'm going to
including."
argue. When we get off, I'm going to argue with it. Why would you exclude? I want to see what it says.
Have you guys seen the memes of AI taking over the world?
It's probably
and,
going to say because I didn't think you were a Christian.
Okay.
and the robots are about to kill someone. They go, wait. And they show him a screenshot. He said thank you when using ChatGPT.
Nice.
Like, all right,
Yeah,
you're
that's good.
So be nice. Be nice. Ready to do quotes? Best quotes? Remy, got any more gems over there?
Yeah, I've got some actual funny hidden gems. About 1630 in, as the guards are calling priests to the temple guard, priests are in the doorway. A guard turns around and he's very clearly wearing aviator style sunglasses. No, I haven't rewound mine to verify this, but I'm going to, and I think it's going to be. We should screenshot it and post it.
So
Oh, I hope. Yeah, that's
as
really
your
so
book came out,
funny.
how long did it take for people to start sending you things that you need to fix?
You know what's crazy is like Marcus did early because he read it. He was one of the first people to actually read it that week. I think a lot of people like just bought it and kind of moseyed on, and he read it in 2 days, and he sent me one, and it's the only actual. It's the only type I've read it because I just got done reading it for the audiobook. It's actually the only typo in there. Everything else I chose is just like tenses that I don't like and stuff like that. But I misspelled idle. Instead of saying idle time, IDLE, I spelled it IDOL. And a lot
Idle
of
time.
people, and it's
I
the
actually
chapter,
asked you if you meant. To
and a
do
lot
it
of people
or not.
wondered if it was like a double entendre.
So you're like, well, you tell me.
I just went
Yeah.
with it, but I just fixed it.
So mine was brass tacks.
Okay, what'd you?
It's actually brass TACT, brass tact.
Ah.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people don't know, so it's probably not going to matter. But I know how that feels, where it's like, at some point you're
To
just
be
like,
clear, when you asked me to read your book, it was not to edit the book.
It was not to edit. That's true. Because otherwise, you
which
would have
was
got
not
taken
easy.
a long time.
but what's funny, I know how that feels writing a 160-page book that you spend, I don't know, a year on, but not all your
Dude.
full-time job. Could you imagine seeing one of those things after you've literally paid people so much money to look at?
Mel watching and seeing. He's in theaters, everyone's crying, and this dude turns around with aviator sunglasses. You know how upset that would be? Oh man, we got.
Well, we always I always was told good writing is good editing, right? And I feel like it's the same thing. Whether it's I think good art is good editing. It just in general, whether it's writing or whether it's movies or whether it's cooking.
It's funny.
Or whatever.
It's funny. The only guy with a microphone right now that hasn't written his own book and only edited others says good writing is.
I've
good
still
editing.
probably written more than you.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think
Dude,
so.
I've written a lot.
It's pretty crazy. You know how I always do that.
Like papers
and
stuff like that.
The dream session, I still do that in a lot of my speeches, and I carry around my dream book that I've carried around for 16 years.
Yeah.
Number 21 and 22, which would have been when I was 19, because I'm on 200 dreams a night right now. Number 21 was write a book. Number 22 was publish
Start
a book.
Podcast. Oh.
No, 22 is publish a book. And when I'm on stage, I will do this, and then I will mark off every single time I'm doing it. I will mark off
Another
dreams.
one that you're like, oh, there's
And
one.
I got emotional on stage in front of 500 people when I was reading through, because I was walking through a dream session. And I'm reading some of these dreams, and I'm like, holy cow. So I read it, and it was hard to get through.
That's really good.
Hot news.
Did you at least show your book when you said that, so they bought a bunch of them?
Yeah. Oh, man. You want to be humbled? Try selling your book for $15 at a college where no one has any money. You're standing there and kids
Whatever.
are coming
I would have
up.
bought that in college.
No. Tell him what happened.
Your book really isn't for college kids.
Rem,
It's not.
Rem has his table set up and he's got his big sign and all that, but there's no price anywhere. These kids are walking up like, oh, can I
You
get a
should
book?
have just given them away.
I did. Kelsey wouldn't let me. So I started giving away. I'm like, this is embarrassing, and I just want them to read this book. So I started giving away. I was like, I don't care. And she's like, no, we got to make our money back. It's so it's cute and funny at the same time.
Well, you don't have to answer this question. I'll just tell you, one of my clients wrote her own book.
Yeah.
And I think self-published it. And she figured out every book costs her essentially $3.
That's accurate,
Right?
depending on.
So she gives this book away all the time because, like you,
because she's creating lead magnets.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing she's not giving away to 19-year-old kids.
No,
very.
well,
It's a long play.
She would give hers away to 19-year-old kids, but
So she's rich.
She's well
I'm
traveled.
not answering. But she would. But she did realize that, and I think it happened more than she realized that it was a lead. That it was a lead magnet.
I've already. I didn't expect this, but both from the book sales itself and sales I've made because people have read the book and now want to invest in our company. It's been
That's
made
how
back
it is.
tenfold in the first 3 months.
That's how this podcast is for me. It's just creating leads like
Is
crazy.
it? Is it?
No,
Yeah,
not
on
in the
half your
slightest.
appointments, you're like, you should not listen to it. Do you get listen to podcasts? Don't listen to the cover.
So we're 1 week into my launch. This includes ebooks.
914 sold.
Yeah.
On Amazon?
On Amazon.
That's awesome, dude.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
Ebooks, the $0 ebooks, or paid?
Yes, that includes the 150 of those. So we're looking at.
Yeah, we need to talk offline. I want to see what you're doing.
Dude,
I need those ads.
So I've sold. I've made $35 off the ads. So I've
Dude, we've already talked about this. Okay, we know exactly what he's doing, and by the way, I'm fine with it. This is all good. But we talked about the passion.
Yeah.
We talked about he makes this, and
Yeah.
then part of his go-to-market strategy was churches.
Yeah.
Right? Brett, wrote this book. It's got all this Cutco stuff in it.
Yeah.
He is a manager at Cutco.
Yeah, but
all these people are buying the book.
It's true, but it's on Amazon. That's tough to get someone to go to a link, buy the book. It's way harder than you think.
All right.
there's
to
a
get
lot
someone-
of people on that launch
A lot
team.
of people really like Brett.
didn't
Oh man,
buy.
book number 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A lot of
Oh,
people
for
on the
sure.
launch team didn't buy.
Yeah, there's. I mean,
Wow. Even though I wasn't on the launch
Just
team.
curious,
and
because I
bought
know
it right
Marcus
away.
wants to make this whole thing about him.
Yep.
I'm just curious, who bought your first book?
my first book was bought by Steve McLean.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
That was your first book.
No, as soon as
I'm gonna pull up this text.
No, as soon as
this is
Oh,
BS.
you're the first one who bought it on Amazon. Time out. You are the first one verified person on Amazon. Steve McLean, the second I posted last 2 Novembers ago that I was writing a book, literally Venmo'd me $50.
That's awesome.
Got him.
And I was like, you know what? What's funny?
That's really
I'm sure
cool.
I would have finished it, but that was like, I have to finish the book.
That's cool.
I can't not.
Ooh.
He literally was
That's
like, I
really
want to buy your
cool.
first one here.
So
Hey,
be
it's one of you
honest,
two
like
wanna
how
Venmo me
how
50
often did that ring when you were thinking about like not writing on a Friday?
Oh
or
my
something?
gosh.
So
Yes.
that specific thing.
That
Steve
and
sent me
anybody who
$50.
commented, I want a signed copy throughout the
That's
way,
cool.
which, as you know, happens.
Wow,
quite a
I'm
bit.
gonna write about that.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of time. So how many quotes do we have time for?
Quotes.
Oh, we got time.
Go for it, man. What you got?
What do you guys think is the most well-known quote of Jesus of all time? And in any circles, what even non-Christian circles, what quote of Jesus do people know? I think this first one is up there. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. I feel
That is
like
for
that's a
sure.
very
That's high.
famous quote.
That's high.
So I wrote another one that I think has to be up there. It is finished.
Yeah, that was the other one I was going to say. I mean, the last words.
I do think I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me is probably high.
I don't know if it is, because people are shocked when you take that stance and use that quote to talk about,
They want to
They-
ignore it
they-
for sure.
Yeah, they're like confused that they're like, Jesus didn't even say that. Now, it might be blind. It might be blind ignorance.
Okay, maybe
Christians know it.
I mean,
That's one of my. When I was in Budapest recently,
Oh my gosh.
that was
Saint-
one of your go-tos.
St.
when you
Matthew.
were at
No,
the
St.
bar?
Matthew's right on the front. I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's in.
He didn't even say that. Jesus did.
Oh my gosh. Calm down, Marcus.
That was good.
You are my friends, and there's no greater love than for man to lay down his life for his friends.
My kingdom is not of this world.
Mm-hmm.
I thought. So I think he's chained to. He's getting ready to get beaten. I think, and he says, "My heart is ready, Father."
Yeah.
And it's just the moment that he's like, all right, I accepted my
heart is
fate.
ready.
And the way, like, his whole demeanor changes. And it's just like, all right.
I loved when he said, "I am,"
Mm-hmm.
because of the significance
7 I
of
am
that.
statements in John.
Yeah, well,
Moses.
the significance of him just saying, "I am."
This is to Pilate, I think, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Pontius.
Pontius.
If you will not hear the truth, no one can tell you. And I was reading Romans, and that really resonated, because Jesus says here, if you will not hear the truth, nobody's going to be able to tell you. And, in Romans, Paul talks about, like, hey, to the world, Christianity is going to seem like folly because they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of newfound respect I have. I've always loved Paul's. I mean, I will say I love reading books written by Paul more than, I love it. My newfound respect for his angle, approach, everything to do with Romans since this study we're doing at church is just on another level.
Very relatable.
Oh my gosh. Just absolute perfection. It's great.
I love when he tells him, you have no power except what is given from above.
Yeah.
How about Pontius Pilate saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility.
And he washes his hands.
What do you do with that? So the dude is playing both sides. He's more worried. So what I take from that,
He's a politician.
I know, but what I took from this watching of that movie, I viewed it in a different way, and I don't know why, but it's like, who are you scared of? Who do you fear? Do you fear man? Because that's what you do if you fear man. If you fear God, you act differently.
I think he fears losing his perch. He wants to be able to tell, I think, who would it be? Caesar?
Yeah.
Hey, I said this is not.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
it blows
Like
up,
you fear earthly things. Like that is the perfect depiction of
Yep.
not fearing God.
I think there's historical to this where his wife has a
dream about Jesus.
Yes, like his wife is like on the cusp of a follower essentially, and she's.
Well, I don't know about that, but she at minimum had a dream.
Yeah, that's controversial. We should get into that. Not on this show.
Okay,
That would take forever.
that would take a long time.
But she's depicted. I think you're reason you're saying that she's depicted as a cuss follower when she delivers the linens to Mary.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But also, I think in The Chosen, I don't know, maybe it's a different woman, but I feel like there is a Roman higher ups wife or someone
that's her.
Yeah,
It's her. It's just I'm saying
supporter. Would that be fair? Is that a?
Are you talking? Wait. And so Chosen specifically.
Yep.
Are you talking about the woman that supports their ministry?
Yes.
That is not Pontius
That's not
Pilate.
Pontius Pilate.
Yeah. Okay. Any more quotes?
I don't have any.
All right. It's time to get into ratings. What's your rating?
8.2.
I'm a 9.
I'm an 8.9. I can't quite get to a 9.
I was almost there, and then I just considered the daring bravery and what was risked to do this movie, and I was like, it'd be really
hard to argue.
It's
hard to argue.
I like this movie. I don't know that. I don't know that this movie really presents the gospel to people who are unbelievers. It doesn't really tell it as good news necessarily. I think it's a movie that's made for believers. I think it's a very good movie.
What would be? You've said this twice
in terms
now.
of as a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like.
You've said this
more
twice
than
now.
an
I'm just curious.
8.2.
What would you have added to artfully?
I don't know that answer.
accomplish that?
Yeah, I don't know that answer. It's kind of like I think it's actually similar to how I feel about Harry Potter. Is like
And the depiction from the book to the movie.
is that it just I don't know that it can be done in a movie.
Yeah, I think you're asking for, and it's okay that you're asking for it, but I think you're asking for a different movie.
I don't think I
Yeah.
don't think I'm as picky on what you're saying. I feel like I'm a big fan of asking questions, and if you want to know the answers, you do the digging yourself. And this movie
Makes you want to dig.
makes me want to dig. Yeah, because I
And
did.
I think I mean there's millions of Christians out there that because of this movie have a more deeper understanding and appreciation for what Jesus actually went through. And there's just so much power in that.
As a Christian, it really makes me appreciate what Jesus went through more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's an important watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a movie, I don't know that I give it a 9.
Yeah. What's next? Not necessarily in any particular order, but Ocean's 11. Happy Gilmore to kind of celebrate the Happy Gilmore 2
God, we're doing that.
coming up. And Fever in the Heartland.
Are you about done with this?
I'm getting close. It's hard to put down.
It's hard to put down.
Story
hard
of...
It might be the best book
You
we've
think
read.
this will be made into a movie?
Yeah, it has to.
Oh, jeez.
So when was it written?
Jessica told me it was written
Recently.
like a year ago.
Yeah,
Jessica told me that there's a movie with Jeff Bridges that's called Old Man that's coming out, and I don't know if that's what
Interesting.
I don't know if it's about this or
'Cause-
not. I haven't looked it up.
Yeah, I think we would know. If it
Well,
was.
I just haven't looked.
It's the history of the
Wow, that he'd be
KKK
a
in Indiana.
perfect depiction.
It would be
of
a perfect
the Grand
title.
Dragon is
Well,
Jeff Bridges.
Not really, because DC Stevenson was a lot younger.
And he was like 5'8". He was
Yeah.
like little guy like me, except he probably didn't work out.
He was like
All those
our
Hollywood guys
our
are.
age.
Well, Jeff Bridges is exactly what I picture when they're telling all these stories.
I get that. I think that I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you that he would.
So what are we
know
doing?
how to
We're
do that
doing
character well.
Oceans.
Oceans. Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
not the worst song movie. Ocean's 11.
Oceans 11.
Ocean's 11.
Hey,
Happy
finally doing
Gilmore.
a Matt Damon movie.
Happy Gilmore
We're doing an everyone movie.
Yeah, that's true.
and Fever coming up.
See you guys.
This podcast is finished.